They are one of the rarest habitats in the world, thousands of years in the making, and they are vanishing. Traveling east on Highway 4 from Brownsville and heading to Boca Chica Beach, you pass intermittent patches of dense brush and perhaps notice scattered green hills on distant tidal flats. These lomas, or little hills, are unique geological formations found in only 3 places in the world: Australia, Africa, and deep South Texas, and are perhaps the best wildlife habitat remaining in the Rio Grande Valley. There are only some 12 of these lomas north of Highway 4, and most are on Brownsville Navigation District property, currently managed under a lease agreement with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, forming the 4,000-acre Loma Ecological Preserve, overseen by Brian Whitten, manager of Lower Rio Grande Valley National Wildlife Refuge.
They're only found in 3 places in the world, and so the circumstances which created those, it's very rare. And so they provide a lot of unique biodiversity. We have rare plants on some of them.
The lomas were formed over centuries from windblown silt or clay particles deposited by the Rio Grande. With the periodic drying of tidal flats, the prevailing south wind over time formed small rises, which eventually became covered with vegetation. With the sprawling development of SpaceX and rapid expansion of the Port of Brownsville, including a new highway linking the port to Highway 4, the historic lomas are threatened.
Really the best of the best that we have left is actually on Port of Brownsville property that's north of Highway 4, south of the ship channel. And those 9 lomas that we managed for the port for 40 years are coming up for expiration or hopefully renewal. And so it would really be important if the port could work with us and see those lomas protected in perpetuity, because they're the best of the best that we have here in South Texas.
Acre for acre, these scattered lomas are perhaps the most diverse habitat in South Texas. Benito Trevino, renowned naturalist and ethnobotanist, recently visited the lomas for the first time and was astounded at the abundance of plant life, likely exceeding 2,000 plants per acre.
I'm very impressed with this habitat, Richard. It's like I've never seen quite anything like this.
Dr. Chris Gabler, assistant professor with the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley Biology Department, values the lomas as a vital educational resource for his students.
So I'm excited to bring my students to these places because, like you said, they are unique in the world. They are unique in the region. And so I bring students out here just to understand the ecology of these systems. And you can explore a lot of really deep ecological theory, like island biogeography. You can use lomas to study that process and those concepts. And something else we use from a very practical standpoint, we use these lomas to collect seed that we use in our native plant nursery, which we then use for reforesting thorn scrub habitat all over the South Texas Refuge Complex. So these are literally seed sources for the entire region to regain its lost biodiversity.
This habitat is a climax forest. God cannot go any further. Mother Earth, this is the best. It is a totally mature forest.
Each loma is a unique island of habitat that has taken thousands of years to create, and once destroyed, can never be replaced.
But when you have a system that's based on a geologic scale soil process like lomas forming are, it's just not something you can remake. Even if you had all the plants in the world to put in it and could do that perfectly, you still wouldn't be able to get the soil right.
While the lomas provide valuable habitat for native species, such as the endangered ocelot and Texas tortoise, they are also vital to migratory birds.
Actually, we get 3 different flyways converge in South Texas, and so really a lot of migratory birds, songbirds, go through that area. And so those areas are so close to the coast, and they have a wide variety of plants that they provide a lot of insects and food and resting and safe sanctuary for these migratory birds, especially during the spring migration, is when they're just exhausted from flying from South Central America across the ocean, and then they hit Boca Chica area, and that's where they kind of just recoup and recharge. And so those areas are important and critical for that.
The Rio Grande Valley is one of the fastest growing areas in the nation, and more than 95% of the region's native habitat has been cleared for agriculture and development. Despite this devastating loss of habitat, the remaining wildlands are of tremendous economic value to the valley. A study conducted a decade ago by Texas A&M University concluded that ecotourism, or wildlife watching in the Rio Grande Valley, provides an astounding economic impact of $463 million annually and supports more than 6,600 jobs. The numbers are likely much higher now. One of the largest tracts of contiguous coastal habitats remaining in southernmost Texas are the historic lomas and ephemeral wetlands connecting them. This unique swath of threatened wildlands is critically important to sustaining the natural heritage of southernmost Texas.
Throughout a lot of the Gulf Coast, these high grounds near the coastline would be where Native Americans gathered. You often find middens and things in these areas. So these played an important part culturally today and historically. And if you think about the other ways that these lomas benefit people, so much of our local economy is driven by ecotourism. These lomas are a major part of the migratory butterflies and migratory birds coming through.
While the endangered lomas provide vital habitat for native wildlife and are of critical continental importance for migratory birds, thus far, Port of Brownsville officials have shown no inclination to renew conservation of the lomas when their lease agreement expires in 2023. And in 2012, removed the 575-acre Loma Portreto Cercado from protection for development of a failed natural gas liquefaction and export terminal. The Port of Brownsville owns some 40,000 acres, and the hope is that as industrial expansion continues, officials will find a way for continued development on their vast holdings while protecting the fragile lomas.
People often think that nature and development are decidedly at odds, and that's not true. We can do this the right way. We can continue to grow our economy, grow our region, while we still respect and protect these last few gems.
It's one of the jewels that we have that really, really need to be preserved.